A lizard is never late? Is that what you said? Okay. Yeah, that's the plan right now. Actually, I have a friend that, well, a kind of friend that goes here that owns a rental company. I've been talking to him about it. That's the current plan. I was hoping it was going to be about 3,000 pounds because then I could have rented a truck with a, but it's more than that. So believe it or not, what I was saying before I remembered I should start recording is that, believe it or not, this problem is kind of easy, right? And if I write this down by itself, it may help us see what's going on here. Okay. So we're not going to use PEMDAS, not really. Not really. Okay, so on this side, we have a complex number in standard form where we have a real part plus an imaginary part, right? That's what's going on there. Okay. On this side, we kind of have the same thing. We have the real part over here.
You mean imaginary
as it has an I, and that is exactly what I mean. Great question. And we have the imaginary part right here that matches that. Right? Yeah, no, that's not what I meant by it's easy. Not what I meant at all. So, what we know based on looking at this is that this 3x minus 5 has got to turn into 7 to make it true. So, we can write that little equation. 3x minus 5 equals 7. And we know that this y minus 3 has got to equal 6 for it to match this other side. So we can say y minus 3 equals 6. Now we've got a couple of equations, each of which just have one variable. Those we can solve, right? Those are easy peasy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So easy my middle school kids are starting to learn how to do it. Okay? So to solve this one, what are we going to do?
Put the x as...
What? Bring down our 3x equals 7 plus 5 is 12. And then we divide by 3, right? And x equals 4. So there's half our answer. And then this one's even easier. This one's just a one-step problem, right? Just add 3 to both sides. And we end up with y equals 9. We weren't asked to solve for, we weren't looking for I. We were just trying to find the values of x and y. The I helped us know which equation needs to equal 6. And we know it equals 6 because this one has an I and this one has an I on it too. So that's all we use the I for on this particular problem. Does that make sense or not so much? While y'all copy, I'm going to move over just a titch. And we're going to do example 6. Which is simplify. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. Sorry. Obviously, I don't really care either, but I care about your happiness. So, so I do care about that much. I can't say the same for these guys over here. Zach is offended. Okay, simplify. Five minus 7i plus 2 plus 4i. So what are we going to do to simplify that guy?
Well, do the parentheses first.
What do you mean?
So, well, I guess you can't really.
No, you're thinking good to look at the parentheses. So in this particular problem, are the parentheses doing anything? They're not. No. So if we wanted to, the first thing we could do is to drop the parentheses. Boy, I keep forgetting that I cannot do that.
Oh, I didn't see you put parentheses on the other side.
Okay. So, yeah, so the first thing we can do on this particular problem is we can drop those parentheses because they're not doing anything. Absolutely. Now what? Combine like terms. That's exactly right. So combine the no i's and then combine the i's. If you'll remember from Unit 0, long time ago, minus 3i, when we're writing complex numbers in standard form, and I kind of just reminded us a minute on the last example, we put the real part first and the imaginary part second, always.
Wait, so that's the answer?
That's the answer. What? I skipped 0 steps, actually. I didn't skip a single one, not on this problem. I do sometimes, but I didn't this time. Okay, let's do another one, then we'll do a GP here. And then we'll do something a little bit more complicated. So what is this, example 3? Yes, yes.
Yes, actually.
Actually. It will be when I go do the guided practice. This one's an example, though. Sorry, I said too many words out loud. I should have just kept them in my head. I'm not very good at that. I'm an external processor, which y'all probably should have figured out by now. Not that you needed to, I suppose, but did y'all know that people are generally speaking either external or internal processors? Did y'all know that? Those of us who are, everybody is at least a little both, but that's why, and those of us who are predominantly external processors, like myself, people often think we're crazy because we are the people that talk to ourselves.
Define an external processor.
Do what?
Having to like say something or do something to like process.
Well, not having, but it being the best way for our brains to work.
That's absolutely.
Okay, so here's our another one. Oh, I did it again. Dang it! At least I remembered before I will get used to this new whiteboard. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Did you? No, you were busy talking about your stupid knife. The instructions are still the same. What should we do on this problem? We can't just drop them this one. Why not? Because there's a -1. So what do we got to do with that? Yes, that. We got to distribute it. Remember that if there's not a number there, then there's an implied 1. And so since the minus, yeah. The other one, it had a 1 there too. It just, +1 didn't change anything.
Okay.
Yep, great question. Great question. Okay, so this parentheses we can drop. Just 4 minus 8i. And then -1 times 3 is -3. And then we've got plus 6i, right? If you're going to make a mistake on these, it would be forgetting to distribute the negative all the way through and only changing the first one. That would be a place for mistakes. So don't make them if you can help it. So what do we do now? Combine like terms. That's right. So the no i's with the, and then the i's, right? So 4 minus 3 is 1, and then negative 8i plus 6i is negative 2i. Wait. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, yes.
LOL. Whoa. Did we enter some cheap horror movie? What happened right there? Okay, now GP. Now we're going to look at GPs 1 and 2.
No, he's the worst joker.
You should be writing this problem down, boys and girls. That's the order of operations right now. So there's GP number 1. Because these are short enough, I'm gonna go ahead and also write GP number 2.
Is that a 7 on the end?
It is, yes, ma'am. What does it look like? So I can fix it in the future. What do you mean you don't know? I wasn't questioning you. I am actively trying to improve my 3s. And if that looks like something else, okay. I almost never draw Roman 1s, but I can. If I need to start adding a bar to my 7s, I will.
That's how I do it. That is the best way to do it.
My Freen scrows. Yeah, that was a 1. That one was a 1. That one, yeah, no, that one was. I was commenting quickly, and then my Freen scrows with that on the with that on the screen.
So let me write this down.
Easy, GG.
If you weren't on your phone, you could have already written it down. All right, there's GPs number 1 and 2. Get her done. Get her done. That's the most annoying comedian on the planet, and there's some really annoying ones out there. Although he's great as Tomater.
Tomater was the best thing that Larry the Cable Guy ever did.
That is, I am in that opinion. You and I are in agreement.
Wow. That
Yes.
never happens.
That's probably the only thing I've seen him do.
Although he's not as annoying as that other guy that he went on tour with. Ugh.
I now agree with you.
Anybody that thinks a whole bit about a, what is that called? A kidney stone is going to be a funny joke. I don't understand. You need to turn in your comedian license because that's not funny. It's just uncomfortable. Why are you making a joke about kidney stones? It's terrible.
I now agree with you about Russell Crowe and Les Mis because I've heard actual Les Mis now, and it was so much better.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're becoming less insane.
Not that I blame Russell Crowe for his performance because he's a
They should have, if they really, really wanted him, they should have changed the key, which would have messed up the song and probably made people also angry, but it would have at least been bearable.
Yeah.
Everyone would be angry.
I mean, I like his performance. It just was not as good.
The performance when he wasn't singing was fine. I'll give you that one.
It was fine.
So is acting and talking?
I mean, he doesn't. Javert doesn't exactly do very much, but you know, ugh. Y'all stop talking to me. I'm writing stupid, wrong answers. That is a lie. He did.
No, you did because you said get her done, and then you
Okay, so yeah, I did Larry the Cable Guy. He made it about whatever, Les Mis. Because he knew that I couldn't resist talking about Les Mis. It was his fiendish plot.
And it worked. A little bit.
You're the one who said you went on that first.
It's too bad.
I was said what now?
Audience for my musicals is a bunch of high school moms or homeschool moms because I can't do
That's high school.
homeschool moms because I can't do late
I'll
miss
just say a whole lot.
homeschool moms
Why?
simply because of Cosette's mom.
Like, oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Like maybe I could, but I feel like I'd get in trouble.
Everybody I have ever watched Les Mis with, now it of course doesn't tour anymore, but when I did watch it the 3 times I got the opportunity to do so was with homeschooled people. But, you know, whatevs.
Well, I also have the issue that all
You also probably can't afford to do Les Mis. I'm sure the
the projection rights probably cost $1,000 or something.
yeah, at least.
I bought a minor Broadway production for a $200 performance. So
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about that.
it's gonna be great. We finally have a stage.
Oh, you
It
did?
took me forever to get a stage.
There's where we should have ended up.
I'll see it Saturday.
I don't think everybody's quite finished, but
Wait, what?
how did you get to? Oh, wait. Yeah, how did you get to I?
Yeah, how'd you get to I?
oh, I had it right to begin with. That's funny. I wrote down the right answer, but then as I was looking at it and talking, because I moved back to that because I was done thinking, but then apparently I was distracted again. Yeah, there you go. That's where we should have ended up.
We are all amazing. Has big brains.
I have a small brain.
How'd we did? We did okay? Sounds like we did pretty okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy lesson.
I forgot to pause that for the GPs, so if you want to go back and relive the Les Mis conversation, it's in the recording. Okay. What was that? What was that? Okay, so example number 3. What'd you said? Say what you say. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
I will not fail.
Relative. Example number 3.
We've already done example 3.
Oh, yeah. This is number 4.
This is home that.
The instructions are still simplify.
Isn't it? 4.
Should be 4.
I don't know. Are you just trying to prove to me that you actually do care? Is that what y'all are doing over here? No, you don't care. You just like correcting me.
Yes, I like harassing people. It's
That is correct, actually.
Okay. There's the problem. 2i over 3 plus 6i. Now the problem with the problem, and the reason why we have to simplify it, the flagon with the dragon contains the pellet with the poison.
Wait. And you lost me.
That's sad. More people should have seen The Court Jester with Danny Kaye. It's tremendous. Danny Kaye was tremendous in his day. The problem with this is we don't like square roots in the denominator. We don't like them at all. And I is a square root. That's fair. That's fair. But in our answers, square roots in the denominator are absolutely unacceptable. So what we need to do is we need to multiply by the conjugate.
That makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Conjugate.
That's a big word.
It is a big word.
Mithridates.
So the standard form of a complex number is a plus bi, right?
Yes.
And if we're adding a square root, Just to show that it's the same, you do the same thing whether it's the square root of -1 or the square root of 15. The conjugate of a plus b times the square root of x is going to have the same sort of form. So the conjugate is, I'll leave it blue, it's fine. Is the same thing, but with the middle sign flipped. Okay? So these are the conjugate of those. Okay? So, what we're going to do to simplify this guy is we're going to multiply the top and bottom times the conjugate of the bottom one. So it'd be 3 minus 6i. And we're actually going to show all the steps. We won't necessarily, once we get what's going on, we won't necessarily show all the steps always, but we need to understand why we're doing the conjugate and what that does. Okay? So when we're doing this, we're going to distribute. I'll go ahead and write it out fully. So this would be 2i times 3 minus 6i on the top, right? And then, no, not nothing. On the bottom, it would be 3 plus 6i times 3 minus 6i, right? So on the top, we're just going to distribute, right? 2i times 3 and 2i times minus 6i. So we end up with what? What's 2i times 3? Thank you. And then 2i times negative 6i would be? What's 2 times negative 6? Negative 12. What's I times I? I squared. Okay. And then in the denominator, we've got to do the full FOIL, right? Okay, so we're going to do 3 times 3. We're going to do 3 times negative 6i. We're going to do 6i times 3 and 6i times negative 6i. First, outside, inside, last. Right? Right. So 3 times 3 is? Yes. And then 3 times negative 6i is what? Negative 18i, right? And then 6i times 3 is? So plus 18i. And then 6i times negative 6i is? No, if we're adding them, it would be. Not that either. What's 6 times 6? 36. So negative 36 I squared. Okay, so we need to clean this up. On the top, what can we clean up? There aren't any like terms, but that's a good thing to look for. Not yet. We can in a minute, and we probably are going to do that, but not yet. We can do something with I squared. What can we do with I squared?
Change that to the...
What does I squared equal? Negative 1. This, I say it again, only just because this is, that one you need, it's okay if you don't have it yet, but that one you need in your brain. I squared equals negative 1. That one needs to be able to pop out your head without troubles. I squared equals negative. I equals the square root of negative 1. What can we clean up on the bottom? In the denominator. There's two things that we can clean up or start to clean up.
You can combine the 18s and
Okay.
just clean up this 0.
So negative 18i plus 18i equals what? 0. That's why we're doing the conjugate, because now that drops out. Now what does I squared equal? Because we're also going to take care of that. Equals negative 1. So we've got 9 minus 36 times negative 1. We can do a little bit more cleaning up, right? What can we do now?
Now we can just we'll distribute those negative 12 and negative 36 into those.
You mean multiply them?
Yeah, sorry.
What's negative 12 times negative 1?
Technically, you're distributing, right?
Distributing a once, I guess. Sure. Yeah.
Distribute
Is multiplication. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think that's probably a fair way of looking at it.
What did I make 36? No, just kidding.
What?
Nothing.
Negative 36 times negative 1 is? Neg.
36.
Yeah. Isn't that what you were saying? Yes? No? Oh, okay. Okay. Plus 36. There's one more thing we need to do on the top and one more thing we need to do on the bottom.
Divided by 6. That was 3.
It's not quite where we're headed.
Add them together.
The bottoms we can add together. What do we need to do on the top?
Put the 12 in front of the.
Put the 12 in front.
Oh.
And then 9 plus 36? 45. There is one more thing we have to do to get this all the way simplified, which is something you've been dancing around for a while now. Divide by something, because we're going to reduce. That's exactly right. What are we going to reduce by? 3. What's 12 divided by 3? 6i divided by 3? And 45 divided by 3. Close, though. 15. And now there it is. Now, because I'm afraid this program will lock up if I try to add too many things to its stupid self, instead of doing a sticky note, I'm going to write down our homework. I think, oh no, just kidding. I don't want to do that. Yeah, that's, does that, yeah, that's fine. That will be fine. Totally fine. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do pages 252 through 253, numbers 42 through, I think, how about 60 evens? Which is not a ton of homework, so you're welcome, I suppose. Remembering, of course, that you can always do more if you feel like you want to or need to.
Yeah, it's only 9 problems.
That's not.
It is 9 problems.
There's only 5 problems.
Why would it only be 5
Even. Oh, 60. Oh, God. Definitely didn't. Oh.
I never do
I
that.
definitely didn't do that too.
Never.
And then realized my mistake. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Y'all have a good day. I'm liable to see some of you tomorrow. Goodbye. I said liable to.
Not me. You'll never see me again.
Lies.
Also cool if you changed my name so you wouldn't be sitting my own. You'd be sitting someone else.
But if you change your name, are you still you?